pranayama, the mind is still not completely fit, because there are other things that will try to pull the mind here and there, namely the senses. In the Bhagavad Gita, the battle with the senses is explained in an esoteric way as a battlefield. The battlefield is the world, the turbulent life which distracts us. Arjuna, the individual self, is confused by it and goes to the Lord, Sri Krishna, for help.
Today's talk is going to be on Pratyahara, which is sense control. In yoga, we talk about non-attachment, okay? Non-attachment, most people really don't understand what this means. They think non-attachment has to be forced. Oh no, I shouldn't do this, or this is wrong and this is right. Non-attachment has nothing to do with that. Non-attachment is really what Pratyahara is, what we're going to talk about today. Pratyahara. Can you say the word? Pratyahara. So we've been going through the 8 limbs of yoga. So we covered yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. And now we come to the deeper part of the spiritual practice, where we really have to bring all the senses within. And pratyahara means sense control. Why? What are our senses? What are our senses? What are your senses?
Sight, hear, smell, touch, taste.
Okay, these are all instruments. They're instruments. They're instruments for us to enjoy the world, to live this life beautifully, if we know how to use our senses. But most of us don't. Our senses are connected. They're like the eyes, a camera, the nose, the smell, touch. All these things entice us, and they're great if we can know how to control them. When the senses go wild, and when do the senses go wild? When we have these desires. Oh, I want this, otherwise I'm not going to be happy. If this doesn't happen, I'm not going to be happy. Actually, these desires are attachments. Attachments to things outside of us. And because we're attached to those objects or people or things outside of us, we lose our physical, emotional strength. We become weak. We give our power away. We forget that we are spiritual. We forget that all the power that we need is within us. When you understand, as the yogic teachings say, the microcosm, which is you will understand the macrocosm. It sounds so fancy, these words, but it's not. We are made of all the same elements as everything on this earth is, right? What are the 5 elements? Earth, fire, wind, and water. Okay, we're made up of all these elements as everything is. So if we can live harmoniously with all these things on earth, then our senses, it's our senses that affect our thoughts, and our thoughts that affect our emotions, and our emotions that affect our well-being. They affect our well-being. Because the moment you get too emotional, you know what happens. So what is non-attachment? It's watching all these things, these senses pulling you out, and learning how to withdraw within. Don't let the stuff outside get to you. Don't let those people who call you crazy, mad, because you want to be yourself, get to you. Don't be afraid to be who you are on this earth, because there's only one of you on this earth. You know that, right? You have to be pretty special. It's true. There's nobody like you in the world, isn't it? And it doesn't mean that just because you're an individual, you have to be selfish or any. No, what I'm talking about is really love yourself enough to live a beautiful life. Love yourself enough not to let those desires drive you crazy. You don't deserve that. You deserve peace. And this is why, again and again, I loved it when my master said to me, make peace your God. Because that was stronger than every other desire. Because I watched my mind, and when my mind went into, I wish I was in Hong Kong, why did you bring me to Gibraltar? This is when I first got married. I got into a panic. I wish I'd continued in the States. I would have gone for my master's degree. Why did you marry me so young? Blame, 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 blame. This is all outside stuff. And then who was I making unhappy? Myself. And the person I loved most at that time was my husband. But I loved him, but I wasn't very kind saying those things, was I? And I don't like myself when I'm unkind. Do you like yourself when you're unkind? Any of you, do you like yourself when you're unkind? You don't. But then what happens is we make excuses for our unkindness by blaming somebody else. And we get into a muddle of confusion because there's nobody to blame. There's nobody to blame. There's no wrong. There's no right. It's just sort it out. Remember who you are and what's driving all these thoughts. What's driving it? It's all here. So Sri Patanjali says in the next sutra that we're going to study, and I better get to it before the whole hour goes. Because these sutras are so deep. They're so deep. And they're such incredible science. You know, it's an incredible science. And you actually follow this science, and it takes you to who you were born to be. That's all. You know, you can take what you like and don't take what you like. He himself tells you that in this book. As we go on, he'll say, if you don't agree with anything I say, find it your own way. But find it while you're alive. Find it while you're living. Find your peace while you're living. Enjoy this life. What is stopping us? It's all these desires, all these thoughts. If I have this, I'll be happy. We're waiting. We could be dead tomorrow. Just be happy now. How to be happy now? This moment. We don't know how many moments we're going to have left. None of us know, do we? You just don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So this is what the spiritual studies give you. Oh my God, I'm getting so carried away with complaining. I'm wasting my time, my precious time. And that's what I kept telling myself. I need to stop this. How to stop it? I had to practice, like everything else in life. You practice and you practice and you practice and you practice, and you don't give up on yourself. That's what you don't do. You don't give up on you. Because if you give up on you, nobody else will help you, right? I remember many years ago, one of my students, he was very, very sick, and he went into hospital. And I went to see him, and he said to me, oh, you know, Nelani. I said, oh, I'll come and visit you. You don't have many visitors. He had his ex-wife who would come once in a while. And he said, you know, I learned one thing while I'm in hospital. I said, what did you learn? He said, in the end, when I'm in so much pain, even the nurses and the doctors can't help me. I'm alone in the middle of the night, and the only thing that helps me is saying Om Namah Shivaya. And I have learned through this illness that that mantra is my best friend. And he had to go through so much pain to learn that. But so this is, you know, sorry, I don't want to be depressing because we have lots of good friends in this life. But it is the truth. It is the truth that in the end, you know, it really, you can have as many people looking after you, but nobody can take that pain away from you or that sorrow. So hopefully, if there's a time that comes like that for any of us, we can go within and just focus on that strength, and find the peace in that. See, yoga teaches us to be free from suffering. Suffering is different from pain. Pain happens to everyone, but we don't have to suffer the pain. We can learn not to suffer the pain. And that's what this gave me in my worst times. And I thought, the only way forward is find peace in pain. And you do. When you just know that, when you stop saying, why me? Why me? Just say, why not me? Why not me? At least I have the strength to deal with it. Wow. How lucky to have the strength. How blessed am I to have a mind that has the strength. I think it's horrible when we want to be the victim. Don't you feel horrible when you feel the victim? It's not a comfortable feeling, poor me this syndrome. It's not comfortable, So it's really comfortable to say, I am the strong one. And sometimes when you're not so strong, it's okay to say that too. But to know that you're not so strong, but you always have help inside. That's what the spiritual practices give us. That faith, that, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. So here in 54, Sri Patanjali says, when the senses, so we talked about the senses, withdraw themselves from the objects, so your senses, you take them in, you withdraw from the objects, and imitate, as it were, the nature of the mind stuff. So when you withdraw from the objects, what do you see? What's in your mind? The mind stuff are your thoughts. The nature of the mind stuff, this is Pratyahara. I'm going to give you another explanation which is actually more clear than this one. It actually says here, lacking contact with their respective objects, when senses assume the nature of the mind, it's pratyahara, lacking contact with the respective objects. Okay? What does this mean? Let's say you love chocolate. You know that's your weakness, right? You know this is a weakness. Let's say the doctor says you can't have chocolate, it creates too much mucus. So I'm not, if you like chocolate, doesn't affect you, no big deal. Sometimes it's really good for your health too. But let's say the doctor says, okay, you don't have chocolate. It's not good for your health. So you know that, it's a knowledge. But your senses over the years have taught you, and this is what happened to me, right? So taught you that, I have to have a bar of chocolate every day. I have to have a bar, which was me. I was asthmatic, severe asthmatic when I started this path. So I have to have a chocolate. Oh no, you shouldn't be having this. So I thought, okay, how am I going to do this? So the practice of Pratyahara was, okay, I'm going to find it really hard, but I'm going to learn to bring the senses within. Because I knew it was going to be really hard, I made it easy for myself, easier by saying, okay, I won't have it from Monday to Friday, but Saturday I will have a bar of chocolate. So I was actually studying Pratyahara at this time. I was studying this whole book at this time. So all these sutras I actually practiced, right? So I thought, I'm going to find it so hard. So of course you do find it hard. The bar of dairy milk, my husband used to buy me one every day because that's what I used to have. And you'd bring it home to work or at work or home. And then I go, no. And he goes, what do you mean no? I said, take it away. I'm practicing Pratyahara. He always thought I was mad, but it didn't matter. So he said, okay, I'll take it away. So on the Saturday I had it, the first week, and I was shocked. I remember that it wasn't as delicious as I had remembered it. Yeah. I thought it was more delicious than that. So, okay, but the mind, no, it's just because the mind goes crazy. So Sunday was tempting, Tuesday was tempting. Anyway, this goes on for 3 or 4 weeks. And finally, on the 4th week, I forget it's Saturday, and I forget it's chocolate day. And that evening, I actually remember saying to my husband, yippee, I'm free from desire for chocolates. One step at a time, right? But this taught me that if I could do it on a gross thing, which is easier than emotional things, that I could do it on things that were emotional as well. So the complaining was the next one. Okay, so if you get into habits, complaining in your mind, maybe not even out, but in your mind, you hear those thoughts, right? So then you withdraw the senses. How do you do this? Let's say, what are you complaining about emotionally? That's a little bit difficult, right? Oh, I'm so homesick, I miss Hong Kong, and I wish I could go back. That's that time. I'm not homesick ever anymore. So anyway, so that time I'm repeating the same thing again and again. And the more I repeat it, the more sad I feel. Every time I think about my wonderful family in Hong Kong, I feel sorry for myself. I feel lonely. Stop. Withdraw. Go into the meditation room. I'm so loved. I have a wonderful husband, and I can't have the eyes to see it because I'm too busy complaining. I have 2 wonderful kids, and poor kids, they're seeing mum cry because she feels homesick. Oh, that's not nice. That's not kind. That's not who I want to be. Do you see? That's who you talk to yourself. It's self-talk. It's not who I want to be. So I'm going to withdraw my emotions from Hong Kong and think, that's it. It's my past. I visit every year. That's really lucky. How many people can do that? And that's how I did it. It's self-talk. But I had to learn. So make it like I'm going to learn for me, empowerment. Do you get it? Get the power. But Pratyahara takes you there. So we talked about Pranayama last week, which is using the breath. And we did a kind of breathing technique last week where the breath really slows down. So when the breath slows down, it is easier to bring the senses within. Just like a turtle, when faced with danger, will bring in all its limbs, right? It will just danger. So when you see danger, you bring in all your senses. Breathing is the technique that takes you to the place where you can be aware that your senses are going crazy, your emotions are going crazy, but when you start to breathe, it takes you within. So pranayama precedes the breathing techniques, precedes the ability to practice bringing the senses in. That's why in all scriptures it says, learn to breathe. I mean, how many times in my work now with the consultations, when people call me especially, I'm having a panic attack. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath. Take 1, 2, 3 deep breaths. Now repeat, Om Shanti. Peace. Peace. And they're already better. Already. Just to remind them that the strength comes from within. So then, once they've got a bit of peace, so what created this panic? That's the next step. Oh, something at work. Somebody talked about death. My friend died. Whatever it is, created this panic. And why do you think the panic is there? Because I'm fearful. Okay. So what are you fearful of? Death. You know we're all gonna die. Yeah, Nalini, but I don't want to talk about it. So study. What you don't want to talk about, know about. Remove the fear by facing it. Talk about death. I give them a whole list of books to read. Get used to it, we're all gonna die. Scary if you're gonna live the rest of your life in panic attacks and fear, isn't it? That's more scary to me. And then I scare them and say, isn't that so frightening to live like this? Yeah, it's scary. Then get over it. You can. Give them strength. They can do it. But Nalini, how do I do it? And this is how you do it, because when you do the pranayama, and then you do the pratyahara, bringing the senses with it, the moment you see the panic coming up, bring in. Understand why. And then focus Focus within. Imitate. When you bring the mind in, it's clear. Everything is clear. The thoughts may come, but then what you do with the thoughts is you allow them to float like clouds. Don't grasp them. Now, this takes practice, okay? Many people say, I meditated 3 or 4 years. It's a big deal. I meditated 5 years every day for nearly an hour, and maybe I got 1 minute of silence. But I never stopped till today. I never stopped. And I don't plan to, because it's my medication. It's my time with my soul, my spirit. And I think this is really important, because when you take the senses within, when you do Pratyahara, you actually, like we did last week, maybe we do it again today, we just breathe in and breathe out till you find that there is a joy within you. There is a joy. The silence gives you the joy. The nonsense of the mind drives us so crazy that you get fed up after a while, don't you? When it goes on and on and on and on and on. And when you're really fed up, then you'll do the work like I did. I'll do it every day till I get it in this life, till I get it. And then you'll find that every year your life does get better. Because your thoughts, you're working on them. You're working on what's really hurting you as well. You're not putting everything under the carpet. You're taking out all the skeletons from the closet when you're ready. Taking them out too soon can be dangerous also. A lot of people want to go back into past trauma too quickly. It's also dangerous. Take your time. They will come up. And then you deal with them. And one by one, you forgive everything. That's all you can do. Because forgiveness gives you that freedom. Without forgiveness, there's no freedom. Doesn't matter if the other person forgives you or not, or the situation is always going to be there. That's not important. What we're looking in spiritual practice is that the only person can connect with the divine is you. Nobody can do it for you. I really wish I had a magic wand and I would love to do it, but nobody can do it for us. And that is the truth. But what I can do is share this incredible knowledge that was given to me that changed my life 1,000%. Not only mine, but a lot of people around me. And this is what this science is so beautiful. You change, people around you. You all know it. Look how you've changed and how many people have you influenced. And all of you in this room, the moment you empower yourself with this divine power, everything around you changes. What happens? We go out in the world outside and the senses keep going out, whether we like it or not. And this is why I keep on talking, because I have to remind ourselves. You think I'm talking for you, it's also to remind me. Thank God you're around. So it's also to remind oneself constantly, constantly, because the world is very powerful. The media is very powerful, now more than ever with everything on social media. It's so powerful. Because even in spiritual studies, they're teaching you to have more desires. Why don't you think you have got that mansion? Because you didn't think it and desire it. Oh no. Another more desire. But if you listen to all these scriptures, it says, again and again, the kingdom of heaven is within. Seek ye first God in all its righteousness, and all else will be added unto you. And it's been proven again and again and again. But the mind, so tempting. Yeah, you know why, Nalini? I know why I'm in this position. Because I need to think about that I'm going to make $1 million this year. Well, you can go that way. Another attachment, right? Year passes, and this has happened. I didn't make my $1 million. I put all those boards up. You have to work a little hard, Maybe not hard, but you've got to put some effort into it. Life. And sometimes people do put effort into things, and it's just not meant for them, isn't it? Sometimes it's just not meant for you. So you could be chasing, it's like chasing a ghost all your life and never receiving it. Whereas the spiritual practices, just be happy with what you got now. Just now. I think that's why I really like Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, that book, because it just keeps focus now. Now is all we have. Literally, he's speaking the truth. But all these other things are teaching us to forget now and think you got to visualize tomorrow is going to be like that. How many of us have made plans for tomorrow and something's cancelled it? How many times? How many times in your life? And if you're going to be disappointed every time, you're going to live a miserable life. Every time something is cancelled, like this evening I got an appointment, I can't make it tomorrow at 3. Oh, great, I got an hour free. Wonderful. Do you know, you kind of look at cancellations as like that. Why did this happen? Maybe something else is going to happen. Or that hour is going to give me something that it's an excitement, not a disappointment. It's changing the mindset. We're so attached to routines and things the way they have to be. That's why every time, for those who know me, I give a course, I give you an outline and go, it may change. And if it changes, forgive me, but that's how I work. That's how I work. I work with the gods. I don't work with what I want. I could want so many things for you, but it's not possible. So we have to just allow what happens to happen, right? And this is, and Pratyahara, the practice of bringing the senses within, here Sri Patanjali tells us, when we practice this for a long time without a break in all our heart, what happens? Then follows supreme mastery over the senses. As you keep bringing yourself in when things are not going right. Okay, let's go to the emotional issues. You find that people trigger, and that was a very common word. People trigger me. If you find they trigger you, don't be around them. What do? Withdraw. Yes. And if you have to be around them because they're your family, because sometimes it's mostly like that. Bring it in. This is what I learned to do. You just go in and you just hear the voice go. You listen to the mouth. You're hearing what they say, but you're not allowing it to touch your heart. Now, how do you do that? Mantra for me. When I used to be with this family member, which is always like, will badger you down till you feel, you're going to get angry. So what I used to do is, I know. So when the person was talking, smile in one ear, Om Namah Shivaya in my head. All the time, Om Namah Shivaya. The mantra, whatever mantra you want to choose, but the mantra will help you. The mantra will help you. So it distracted me. Then when it got to 2 hours, it was a bit too much. That's when I would say, oh, I'm sorry, I have to leave. Oh, where are you going? No argument, nothing happened. This person triggered every single button in my body, but I got through it. Do you know what a good feeling that is, that you didn't allow somebody to make you feel this small and like you're not worth anything? And I didn't have to engage. That's the thing. Don't engage. You got it? This is the sense withdrawal. This is how you use Pratyahara in your life. This is how you do it to avoid more problems. This is how, when you apply Pratyahara, you really control, you become a master of the situation, and not that the situation engulfs you, leaves you feeling like rubbish and nothing, but you become a master of the situation. And then you feel empowered by God, because in you there is no desire to hurt. Got it? There is no desire. If your goal is just fairness, you're working for the highest good. So many people will, because they feel guilty, oh, Nalini, I feel so guilty. I said, it's not about guilt. It's about what is right. Put in your senses, where does this guilt come from? Where does pain come from? Because we're all taught to always feel guilty about everything. And yet the Bhagavad Gita says, be careful of fear, guilt, and worry. Guess why? Because you cannot feel the divine when you have those things. You know that when you've got fear, guilt, worry, anger, can you feel peaceful? No, not possible. Not possible to be happy. How are you going to get in touch with God or the divine or the universe? Not possible. And who's closed your door? You have. Nobody else has closed your door. And here in the Bhagavad Gita, I'd also like to read this to you. Chapter 2, 57. Whoever is free of all mental attachments, who is not excited when good things happen, nor dejected when evil comes, is poised in wisdom. You see, when good things happen, we get so elated. Bad things happen, we get so depressed. It's life. Life will always be like this. Always, till the day we die. So when you learn that you don't get high highs, you also don't get low lows. So then you become poised in wisdom because you're becoming very balanced, right? Not too much, not too little. Life is like that. Remember the story of the farmer? Good luck, bad luck. Who knows? Yeah, we don't know. So that is when you develop wisdom. Then you know, oh, I've become quite wise. It's a nice feeling, isn't it, to be wise and not to be so crazy. When one can withdraw the senses from sense objects, like a turtle draws within, his wisdom is unwavering. So when you draw in all the senses and you go within to that divine place, the place of strength, the microcosm, which is attached to the macrocosm, you get all this power. You get all this power. And 59, by abstaining from sense objects, they will drop away. He's talking about the desires. So if the desires that drive you crazy, those desires that drive you crazy, stay away from them. This is what we tell, addicts, right? The first 12 steps is connect with the higher power or God, whatever you want to call it. First step. And here's what it's saying. You abstain from the sense objects. They will start to drop away. Longing for them will also disappear upon realizing the highest truth. So first you stay away from those objects that disturb you, from those people that cause you pain, from those people that irritate you or trigger you. You abstain. You stay away. Don't go into their field, because the moment you do, they will drag you right down with them. All your old emotions of fear, guilt, worry will come right back, and you'll forget all that you have learned. So initially, stay away. Stay away. And then what happens is the longer you stay away, the less you will think about that, right? The longer you stay away, the less. And then longing for them will disappear upon realizing the truth, the greatest truth. After a while, you realize the greatest truth is I'm wasting my life away with all these attachments, with all these desires, and I'm not happy. And the truth is, one day we're all going to die. The highest truth is that we're all spirit and energy. So why am I wasting my energy and becoming so negative? Once you realize it's here, especially in your heart, it's easy to know it's here. But it takes time for it to get into here, where you really know it. And give yourself time. Give yourself patience. Most people come on the spiritual path, want quick fixes. It does not happen. I'm so sorry. But every year you'll get a little better. And every year you'll get a little stronger. And every year you'll get more connected with the divine. Isn't that worth it than every year falling down the drain? There are no quick fixes. All the fixes are within each one of us, and that's the message that we've been getting for years, and yet we don't get it. We want everybody else to fix us. Here are the tools. Follow them like I did, please. Follow the ones that you really ring in your heart. If this rings in your heart, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to stay away from these people for a month. And then after the month, during that month, you also practice at the same time, sending them lots of light, May they have peace. You don't wish anybody bad, because that will backfire on you. Remember, again and again and again, as you sow, you will reap. So be scared of wishing somebody bad. I used to be so scared that when somebody hurt me so bad, as some of you know, so bad that I had to spend the whole night praying for that person. Literally, I could not sleep until I prayed so hard for that person. And when I prayed for the person, finally at 6 o'clock in the morning, I could let it go. And then I could, now I can sleep, I can rest. Because I know wishing somebody bad is going to just bounce back on me. And besides, I also know the greatest truth, that these people come into our life to teach us. That is the greatest truth. I don't want to say it because the ego doesn't want to say it, right? The ego wants to know, that person was bad, But the truth is, they had to be like that for me to learn to be strong. And that is the greatest truth. So really, in the end, you end up thanking them. You really don't wish them bad. And that's the hard work, but you can do it, because then you realize that's the greatest truth. We're all here sent to teach each other. We asked for it. We asked to learn. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in the human body. And let's face it. I know people, life is so tough, I say, okay, do you want to die now? No, I'm not ready. So it's not that tough yet. Isn't that true? How many times I say, okay, you really hate it so much? You want to die now? I want to be happy first. I get my mission. Said, yes. So why are you wasting time on this rubbish when you should be spending the time wanting to live this life that you haven't lived yet? Oh, but I'm already 50. Oh my God, that's young. I said, my best years and my most painful years was 50 onwards. The most painful and the best. How does that happen? Because life is like that. It is like that. Was 50 onwards. Before that, I was like, so much nonsense in my head. And honestly, the practice of meditation, not only meditation, but, going through the whole process of the 8 limbs of yoga, the non-violence, the truthfulness for me is a very big one. It's such a big one. But forget about being truthful, other people's truth, living by my own truth. That took a long time. Because we're brought up to believe that you have to live everybody else's truth. And then you try to be something you're not. You're trying to be holier than thou. And you go, I'm not that person. I am not Swami Satchidananda. I'm not my master. I'd like to be like him. So I need to practice. But I have to be who I am in this body. Authentically, do you understand who you are? Not all of us are meant to be monks in the world. There'll be no population then. Do you know? And yet all these teachings are telling us, I think that many of these books are written just to entrap us. Sorry, forgive me. But this is why I love this one. It's a science that doesn't entrap us. It shows us a way to get free. Life is not meant to be so hard. Life is not meant to be so painful. Then I think of all the masters that I know and met in my life. I've met Swami Satchidananda. He was always telling jokes all the time. He wasn't serious. When he was in my house, he was doing the La Bamba with my son, my husband playing the guitar, and everyone would go, oh, he's so strict. No, he loved life. He lived it. He really lived life. And then I met Dada Waswani, who's also gone at age of 100. And he was always, his face shone and he was happy. He didn't look miserable. And then I met Mother Teresa. in Hong Kong. And she was a light, and she didn't look miserable. In fact, when she hugged me, she said, "Bless you, my child." So sweet. She's so tiny, by the way. So little. She was so little. You know, none of these people are miserable. Why are they telling me? Why are people telling me that in order to find God I have to be miserable? This is absolute nonsense. You know, when we talk about non-attachment, doesn't mean giving up things. It's giving up the attachment to things. Big difference. So this is, you know, people's thoughts. Do you see how they get caught up in all these things? And then you go into all these yogis' homes, and they, beautiful temples. They created beautiful temples for us. So why are we not allowing ourselves to create beautiful temples? Are you understanding this? They just focus on God and its righteousness, and everything else was added onto them, but no attachment to them. If you have that faith, whatever you are meant to do in your life will come to you. And if it doesn't come to you, something else, you're meant to do something else. But we have these fixed, ideas that the senses say, I want this, so I have to continue doing this. But maybe you're not meant to do this. Maybe there is something much greater for you to do. And you stop yourself because you're fixated on this sense object. You're fixated. So you're not fluid. You're not flowing with the divine. You're flowing with your own mindset. And that's why Master Shivananda talks about adapt, adjust, and accommodate. So today you believe this really strongly. Tomorrow life will show you, no, I was all wrong. And never be proud to say I was wrong. Oh great, I can move forward now. I'm breaking all those bridges that I built falsely. Just I'm able to fly now. All those cages we build on ourselves because we think things have to look a certain way, and they don't. And I'm so glad of this study because I always tell my children two things. I don't care what you do in life. Just be happy, responsible, kind. If you're happy, I will be happy. Choose whatever profession you want, but be honorable, independent, and kind. Because you have to be independent. And that's what they've aimed at their lives. They've chosen their own professions, and that's what they're aiming at. I say aiming because at 40, very young, 48 still. Like I said, the best years is after the 50s, by the way. You have a lot to look forward to. I start building up at 35 is when I started the practice. I'm going to be 70 this year. And it's great, isn't it? Every year gets better. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you. And I know the next ages that's come, it's going to be a lot of pain because already a lot of funerals, a lot of people I love have died in this last few years. A lot of people, so there's a lot of pain. But pain doesn't have to be suffering. Pain is because you miss them and you love them. But knowledge, the greatest truth, the non-attachment to their death comes when you know they're not dead, they're flying. And I really know that. You see, you really have to know it for you. I really know that. So, yes, the pain is just selfish because I miss them. But, wow, you're flying. How much fun. I wonder which planet you'll go to. There's so many planets, right? So, we just don't know. So when you know the greatest truth, because that is the greatest truth, we don't know anything. What happens to us when we leave this body? Everybody can predict and say 1,000 things, but we're energy. But we do know one thing that springs us forward is the love we feel in our hearts. When you love your life, when you love whatever you do, when you love people around you, there is an energy that comes from within that's beyond you. Then the equation is not what am I all about or my life is all about. The equation is it's just all love. But that takes a long time to come to. But the more you contemplate it, the more you sit with your senses within, the more you know. It will come to you because the divine consciousness is within all of us. It will come. But you have to do the sitting, and you have to do the contemplation, and you have to do the pratyahara, and you have to do the work. All I can say is I've done the work, and I continue to do the work, and I hope to continue to do it till the day I die. Because at the moment of death, I want to be so connected that when I go, I just poof, fly. The Buddhists say that's how we should do it, you know. Just go to the light. Don't look back. Go to the light. Everybody else is going to go to the light anyway. Right? Everybody. And the more you practice, the more you study these subjects, the more real the truth comes. It becomes very real. It's no longer... So what happens? All those things that you attach to, they're not interesting anymore to you. They're there, they're fun, you can play, you can enjoy, you can dance, you can sing, you can do it all, but what you have inside is far more valuable than all of it. And that's why you can let it go. If you love her, you can let her go, right? That song? Pity I don't have a good voice to sing it. But yeah, if you really love something, you let them go. You let them go. You have to let them go. They never belonged to you in the first place. Nothing does. That's the greatest truth. Nothing does. That we are so blessed to have so much. Whoa. Whoa, that's what we should say. But, you know, oh, I'm grateful for this. And that. No, it has to be really from within. Whoa, I am really grateful. But don't say you're grateful for things that you're not, okay? Because then you're lying. And if you don't feel good that day, just shout and say, I don't feel good. And yeah, let's get it out of your system. Get it out of your system. Don't keep it in because you think you're spiritual. But please don't pick on anybody. Just go to your room and get it out of your system. Yeah, that's the advice I would give. That's what I started to do with the practice. Don't pick on anybody. If you feel that way, you know it's coming up, you know you're going to have a bad day, just say, leave me alone. Go to your room, get it out. And that's nothing wrong. You're just removing it from your body. Otherwise, your body will keep the anger and the body will get sick. So you have to admit when things are not right, and Pratyahara, bringing the senses in, will help you to see everything clearly. And then follows mastery over your senses.